This is the New York City FC Pregame Live. Tonight, New York City look to win a club record 6th straight match as they host the Columbus Crew. And now, here are your hosts, Glenn Crooks and Matty Lawrence.
And there we are. There I am holding my iPhone. I'm Glenn Crooks. Matty Lawrence is here, and I'll show that again at some point here. But it's weather is kind of remarkable.
Yes.
We'll talk about the game and everything else. Let me give you some room to pull in here. There you go. Because we had to like use every paperweight
Batten
possible
down the
because anything that's loose, it might blow away here. It's according, and that's Chris Sakonis behind us, who hosts our halftime and postgame, and also provides those highlight clips during the match on my Twitter at Glenn Crooks. So please always like that.
You're that
because
big,
Chris,
Glenn, that you have somebody doing your social media.
Is
You've got an entourage, basically. Is that what you're saying?
He does my tip of the day. If you follow my tip of the day, Chris puts it up. I mean, he's a remarkable young man.
You've got a team behind you.
I have a team. It is kind of nice.
It is.
But I'm the one who sets up all the equipment. So the equipment is like, where is it? Can I show everybody the equipment? Here. So I've got my phone here.
Get Chris to do it.
Hold on. How do we do this? Oh, there it is. Yeah. So look at all this. I got to get in. I got to do this.
Blackberries.
Blackberries. I screw up because Matty says he likes blackberries, and I always get him blueberries. Then we have our computers, and we have all kinds of things here. But hey, look, it's great to be back. International break, and the first question is, New York City having won 5 straight, 8 of 9, only 1 loss at 11. It's almost like let's not break. But because of some injury concerns, it probably came at a good time with Thiago Martins injuring his hamstring. Remember, he came out of the right before kickoff against San Jose, and he is still unavailable. He did some sprinting and some warm-up work on his own a couple of hours before kickoff here at Yankee Stadium, so he's not in the squad. But Kevin O'Toole, the other hamstring issue, is in the squad. He's ready to play, but he will start the game on the bench. So the starting 11, I'm going to roll it in if you're watching this, you can see it in the
Kevin's
bottom third.
According to the,
he's not on the bench. Forgive me. Kevin O'Toole is not in the squad. So I think that's precautionary because on Wednesday we went to training. He was training full. He was not training with the starters, but he was training full speed. But here's the thing, LA on Wednesday, and then Nashville on Saturday. That's what's coming up.
Yeah, and obviously they're the two teams. It's the traveling that comes with it. It's from east to west, and then obviously from west almost all the way back east again within the space of a few days. And certainly with muscle injuries, and you're getting up to 36,000 feet, it's not good for recovery. Obviously, it's going to be a tough couple of games for them. That's for certain. Whether the teams are good or not, it's just tough in terms of the travel. That's for certain. So yes, I would say it's precautionary. That's for certain with O'Toole. It just makes the team a little bit lopsided, doesn't it? Because you've now got a right-footed left back, and you've got
and as of Wednesday, Nick didn't know whether Micha Ilinic and Tavon Gray will start at fullback, but he wasn't sure which side he would put them on. Now, and I did ask the question, Matty, about his tactics against San Jose, the 5-1 win, but O'Toole goes down with a hamstring. It's tied at the time. And when Ilinic comes on to replace him, he sends Gray from the right to the left. And as you put it, that was essentially 3 moves now at the back during the course of the game. You're a former central defender. That's not something that you really like to see yourself because it's all about communication, organization, and there was a period of time in there where it was a little dicey.
It was dicey, and especially when Tanasevic is going in there as well, off the back of obviously the Martins injury.
Right.
pre-game. Yes, it does. It's 75% of the back four was manipulated, was moved around. So yes, they dealt with it in the end very, very well. I think for me, I would probably play Tavon Gray on the left and have Ilinic on the right, but who knows? It's obviously, it's not personal preference. It's Nick Cushing. He's the manager. That's what he gets paid to do. But I'll be intrigued to see what he does do.
Another guy not on the bench, Monsef Bakrar. Alonso Martinez is starting. So this Bakrar situation, it's simply his flight was delayed getting back from international duty. He played in 2 games for Algeria, came on as a substitute in both, but he had a flight canceled, so he didn't get into town, as far as I know, until Thursday. So, again, looking ahead, and when you have 3 games in the this 8-day clump, I guess it'll be 9 because we're in a Friday night. Then you want to have some caution. Do you love Friday night games, Matty? What's your Greg Kiston
obviously
does.
look as a player, I didn't really have Friday night games, I must admit, but I love it as a fan, as a spectator, as a broadcaster.
Yeah, we're the only game in town again.
Friday night lights. I know it's an American football terminology, but it really is. It's people have left work. People are starting their weekends. Just everybody, I guess people are happy. The weekend's beginning, and certainly, look, there's a rain delay, so it makes it a little bit different. But I love these games. And of course, look, the players have been able to spend a few days on the beach, eating pineapples, sipping a couple of pina coladas, whatever they've been doing. It has been.
They had
wonderful.
5 days off.
That's wonderful.
We saw Jovan Mijatovic posting Instagram photos from South Beach.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I wasn't joking. They deserved it as well. And as much as we will say they didn't want the break to come, as Nick Cushing said in his press conferences, with the travelling, with the schedule that MLS has, it was wonderful that he had the ability to let the players have time off. And guess what the best part is? They had time off the back of a 5-1 win. If you've just lost 5-1, you don't want to break. You don't want to go and sit on the beach. You want to get back into training. So it's been wonderful all round in a way, although obviously the injuries aren't. But yes, it's perfectly timed almost, although the weather's not perfectly timed.
Well, the amazing story from the last match, there were 2. Maxi Morales' return. Yes. So he played 16 minutes. It was 1-1 when he entered the field. The team wins 5-1. Coincidence, or did Maxi play a major role there? He did have an assist on one of the goals, and maybe could have had he created 2 other big chances. 22 for 22 in passing.
Look, I don't want to sit on the fence, but it is a bit of both. It's certainly slightly coincidental, but also not only his ability coming on, but I think he lifts the team as well. I think the team respect him. Of course they respect him. What he's done in the game, what he's done for NYCFC, he lifted the crowd, that's for certain. So slightly coincidental, but also the ability that guy has is, I don't want to say second to none, but he can pick a pass, I think, in my opinion, that other players in the NYCFC squad won't see or won't have the ability to do. Does that mean he's going to do it every time he comes on? Of course not. Right. Is he now the Messiah? Of course not. But what we saw in that game was quite remarkable. 37-year-old coming off the back of an ACL injury.
And the way you described it, he ran well.
Yeah, he did. He moved
he looked
really
quick.
Well. Yeah. Which we'd never say about Maxi Morales, and that's not a slight. You would never use the word quick, or he covered the ground really well there, because he's not that type of player. It never has been. But he looked great, and he looked confident in his fitness and in his knee as well, which I've played with many players who've broken legs, had ACL injuries, and they're tentative when they come back, and you can see it. He was ready. It was absolutely the opposite.
Nick Cushing described it as the trainers initially said this was the match that he could get back in the squad for, but they argued for San Jose a couple of weeks ago because Nick observed him in training and saw what he was doing there. Now, the other story is Alonso Martinez. Now, this guy, you'll like this, Matty, and I figured it out. I know we were trying to do the math during the broadcast, but he has scored 1 goal every 67 minutes of play this year. He's the co-leader on the team with 6 goals, along with Santi Rodriguez. So here's me with Nick Cushing, part of our pregame show, which is coming up at 7:15. We are in a weather delay here, but we're going to go on per normal. So we've got our pregame live right now. Thanks for joining us. 7:15, it'll be the pregame show with Nick Cushing, sponsored by Ford on the New York City FC Network. Also on Sirius XMFC today, and then Apple TV will join at 7:30 on MLS Season Pass. So that's all coming up. And we'll do a talk show if necessary. And I have a bunch of interviews in the can that I could replay with Hannes Wolf, Malachi Jones, Matt Freese, and somebody else, Burke Risa from preseason. So, and they're all, you may not have heard those before, and even though they're a little old. Maybe we'll be forced into playing them, as, again, we are in a weather delay. There are no specifics attached to that delay. All we can tell you is what my quote-unquote meteorologist here, Chris Sakonis, said, that 7 o'clock it's expected to storm. It's expected to be a thunderstorm. And if you look at the Doppler on weather.com, it looks like it might not move out until after 8 o'clock. But we'll, that's our
let's hope
that's our
our
educated guess. But here's Nick talking about, we're talking about him together, the old Alonso Martinez, the all-time leading goal scorer for New York City as a Costa Rican. He went ahead of Rodney Wallace with those 3 goals.
It's competitive. We want the team to be cohesive. We want people to, want each other to do well, but we also want competition for places, right? We want players to want to take their opportunity. And, Alonso's shown this year that he's clinical. In the minutes that he's played, he's returned a great amount of goals for the minutes that he's played. His stats are really high. And, to come in and feed off the impact Maxi Morales had, the impact that Santi Rodriguez can have in those type of games, is exactly what we're looking for in a striker. But it's almost like a virtuous circle, right? Every time one does well, we push the other two. So it's a continuous thing for us. We want our strikers to be all scoring goal chances.
Before he got even into any action this year, you talked about what a great finisher he was in training. Now, that's 2 different things. You can finish in training, but can you finish in the game?
Yeah, I think his stats would show that. I think there's certain moments in the game where you see, he's had maybe 1-2 chances and he scores a goal. I think there are chances. He got the breakaway against New England he was disappointed with. He got a breakaway in Miami that he thinks he should score. I think it's just a great example of his character, right? He doesn't get too low when he misses chances, and he doesn't get too high when he scores goals, and that's where I think you got to live as a striker.
Can we just tell his story a little bit more? Because coming into preseason, and when you acquired him, he was listed more as a winger, or however you shaped the team, but he was more of a wide player, and you really moved him into a striker role, maybe to give him a little bit more of a chance, but also because you didn't have depth there. Do I have that right?
Yes and no, really. I think ultimately, when we looked at Alonso and the way that we were using him, I don't think it really suited his profile, and I just didn't think Alonso was getting any real momentum off the side. I think the one thing that the coaching staff have done really well is they highlight really quickly that his attributes are his timing and to running behind is excellent. His short, sharp movements are good, and he's really clinical. So, when you're not scoring goals, you may as well move the clinical guy in front of the goal. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, very simple, right? Yeah. You guys score goals, play them, and just let me get this real quick, Matty. It's I don't know if you could see it, but it is a driving rain now. And Chris Sakonis, you are hired right at, it's just shy of 7 p.m. All right, he's off by 2, but it's coming down here, and that's okay. We'll.
It's coming down, all right. That's for certain.
Yes. So So Alonso Martinez scores goals. Got to play him.
Yeah, and Nick speaks about the coaching staff and them looking at the way Alonso Martinez runs and his ability to finish. I think also the other thing is, the main thing for me is listen to the player. He wants to play as a 9. Any interview you read or watch with or listen to of Alonso Martinez, he describes himself as a centre forward. Yeah. That's where he's the most comfortable. That's what he wants to do. He wants to score goals. You sent
me a text and you circled his quote. Why did you do that? And you said you loved it.
I love his. Excuse me for a second. I love the fact.
And we're talking again still about Martinez.
Yeah, I love the fact that he wants to score and he to score. I really like that. It's in his DNA. It really is. So I love that fact.
We were with him on Wednesday. He was part of the midweek presser that New York City presents. It's always Nick Cushing and a player, and he had that wry smile while he was describing his goals or what he expected, and it was just it was fun to see, man. It was really fun to see.
He's having fun. He's enjoying the game. He's enjoying being on the field. I think he has the confidence of the players around him as well. I think it's helped in a way, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's helped that Bakra has been so bad in front of goal. I think him coming in has been an absolute breath of fresh air. He's uber confident in front of goal. He's got that finishing touch, that finishing knack. So everything's going well for him. It really is. Why wouldn't he have a smile on his face? Yeah. He's playing fantastically well. He wants to be a centre forward, and he's scoring goals. What more is there for a centre forward almost?
And the statistical line for him, he was the first player in MLS history to score a hat trick after the 85th minute. I mean, it's really just crazy. And the first New York City hat trick from a player off the bench. Yeah. And I think it's the 7th time in MLS history that a player off the bench has scored a hat trick. So that would be the only thing I would say as far as, do you start him or do you bring him in as a reserve? Because he has that impact, and he's pacey. And he came in with Malachi Jones, and those guys terrorized San Jose at the back.
They affected the game in a very positive manner, and they came onto the field when San Jose were mentally a little bit fragile, physically a little bit fragile as well. But look, you come off the bench and you score 3 goals. I understand what you're saying, Glenn, that yes, he can be an impact player off the bench. He's earned the right to wear the shirt. Yeah. He has to start. You can't look at it in any other way. You've sent the guy on there to win you the game. He's won you the game. He's got to start the next game. So now for him, though, it's, can you do it for 90 minutes, or can you do it for the first 70 minutes? Can you have that effect on the game that you do off the bench? The team you're playing is now fresh. You're fresh. Can you do it? Have you got the ability? Are you good enough to do it against a team that is, well, let's be honest, Columbus, one of the best, if not the best in MLS? Let's see what you can do now.
Matty Lawrence, I'm Glenn Crooks. Radio commentary coming up. It starts at 7:15 with our pregame show. So we're going to stick with you here for another 8 minutes or so before we switch over. And I would encourage you to come on there. This game is not going to kick off at 7:40. So we will have plenty of time to fill, which includes the Nick Cushing pregame show presented by Ford, which is part of all of our pregame shows on the New York City FC network. We're also on MLS Season Pass. If the weather kept you away and you're going to watch this on Apple Television, turn on the English hometown commentary so you can get Matty and me. And then Sirius XM FC, if you're driving around, that's usually where people hear the channel when they're driving. But if you have the app, maybe you can listen to that as well and catch our commentary and our talk show, which is the way the beginning of the game will go as well. You see the starting lineup. So we talked about Martinez. He'll be joined by Agustin Ojeda on the left and Hannes Wolf on the right. I was voting for Malachi Jones to get the start because I want to see those two together at the start. That is Jones and Martinez. And the one thing that, look, Alonso Martinez, there was a question about his tactical awareness and how he might perform in that position early on by the New York City FC coaching staff. But the guy's got pace. And as Nick said in his comment, he does time his runs well. But pace is something that I think we understate at times. It's such an important facet. And it just, you're a center back. So who would you rather play against? Like a sturdy hold-up center forward or a guy that could run past you?
I've just written it down. Pace frightens people. Yeah. And it's not people. Pace frightens defenders. It's the last thing in the world that you want. When you know a player doesn't have to be good. It doesn't matter how technically gifted they are. If they're quicker than you, you've got a problem. Just straight off, you've got a problem. You may be a much better player than that person. You may have the ability to defend them one-on-one. But if it's a foot race and they can just outpace you, that's a problem. Do I want to see Malachi Jones starting? I'm not sure whether I do. I think he's a great impact player. Is he learning to become a professional footballer?
Yeah,
absolutely. And
I'm just saying, I'd like to see the two of them. The last two games they've come in New England, and then this past game San Jose. They've come in essentially together and have made such a difference, and have been such a terror to the backs on that they ran against. I just want to see the two of them in a 60-minute period.
Absolutely,
for instance,
in tandem, it would be great. I love the fact, for me, I thought Malachi Jones was absolutely out of his depth the first 2 or 3 times I saw him. But look, he's just come, and I did it myself, just come from Division 1 college soccer into the professional game. That takes a lot of adjusting. It probably took me almost 2 years to fully adjust from college football to professional soccer. But he's done it pretty quickly. And he understands how important his pace is as well. When we first saw him, he almost didn't have a belief in his pace. I've said it to you before, Glenn. It's almost just kick and run. You don't have to have a trick. Don't step over. Kick the ball past the defender and run. I know it's simplistic, but that's all you need. That's how quick he is.
I've got a thing about Jones, just a little information. I bumped into him, and he was, first of all, he got engaged during the international break, as did Andres Perea. But I asked him about Sierra Leone, the national team, because we were talking about international break, and it seems like they have made contact with him, but U.S. Soccer is also watching him closely, and I can assume that he's also received some sort of contact, whether it's on the youth national team side, or we've got the U20s, U23s, or you've got a January camp coming up, which is in essence the off season in MLS. And so they're tracking him right now. So that's the kind of, interest that he's drawing, you know?
And I think rightly so. Do I think it's far too early to start talking, certainly about the US men's national team? Sierra Leone is different. And that is a slight answer, but it's totally different. We're talking about two countries that are, diametrically opposed. But there's no surprise either that US, being the much bigger team, the much better team, is tracking him as well, because they wouldn't be doing their due diligence if they weren't following every single player that can qualify for the US men's national team.
Yeah.
Take a look. I think what you said, talking about camps, take a look at him in camp. You won't truly learn, or Greg Berhalter and his coaching staff won't truly learn about the player until they see him alongside other players of that ability, of that quality. But yeah, look, he's had a great effect on NYCFC and MLS as a whole.
Tavon Gray was on international duty, has come back for this game, and then will leave again as Jamaica prepares for Mexico on June 22nd in Copa America. We talked about Bakar playing a couple of times for Algeria. Let's get one Wilfred Nancy, the great coach, and I really enjoy his press conferences. He's very honest. First thing he talked about was the loss at Pachuca in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final, 3-0. And he intimated, as the club has, Matty, I don't know if you're up to speed on this, that their food may have been purposely
tainted. It's everybody else's fault, I think, is the point.
Okay, so they kind of think that they might have been the food poisoning wasn't an accident. So that was one thing. And then the topic of Yankee Stadium came up, and that's always,
we always love that.
This is always fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna be straightforward, because now I can be like this. In 2 years or 3 years, I think they're gonna have a new stadium. I'm so happy, because this is not good for the league. Now there is more TVs, I would say, with Apple TV and so on. There is more people who can watch all our games all over the world. When they see that we play in the baseball field, this is not good at all for the league. Simple as that. This is really bad. Really, really bad. We know why we do that, but people overseas, they don't know why we do that. And if we want to be good, we cannot play in this kind of pitch. So I don't like to play over there. Simple as that, because the pitch is not the good dimension. You know that when you are in your net, you try to look for the other net. This is not straight. The pitch is not good. This is not a pitch to play soccer. Simple as that. So we're gonna adjust like we used to do for many years. But I'm really happy that finally, because I know that the league wanted to have, and also obviously the New York City FC wanted to have a new pitch. And now we'll find a way to do it, and this is good.
Yeah. So Wilfred Nancy, and out of all the Yankee Stadium comments we've heard from coaches and players, that one just it didn't. it got a lot of. I put it up on social media, and the normal trashing of the coach talking about Yankee Stadium. But the fact he brought up Apple TV, and we all know, we've all watched on television the games televised here at Yankee Stadium, maybe because of the camera angles and the different things. It really does have it's a difficult look. I'll just put it that way. And so that I think that was his major thrust, was how it looks.
Look, I don't think there's any way you can disagree with anything he said. It's all factual. It's all true. The optics of it isn't great, whether you're watching it within the US, whether you're watching it in Australia or India or England or Europe, wherever you are. It doesn't look good. We know that. He's absolutely spot on. Does it hurt? I guess, 'cause as an NYCFC fan, I'm not talking about myself, but NYCFC fans, of course it hurts. He's trashing the club. That's what he's doing. You heard him. I'm not putting words in his mouth. That's what he did. But let's take it further. It's not just NYCFC. It's Seattle playing in an American football stadium. It's Vancouver playing on plastic. It's New England Revolution playing at an American football stadium. I absolutely agree. But all you can do is ban it. You can stop it. You've all got to play in a soccer-specific stadium. And that's that. Atlanta United, however wonderful their stadium is, it's still plastic. It's still an American football stadium. So if you're going to take it, if you're going to make it about the league or the optics of the league, then you have to take it the whole league round.
Yeah. So that's Wilfred Nancy, who guided his club to MLS Cup a season ago. So the Defenders are here at Yankee Stadium here this evening. And let's give you one more look at what we're looking at. The rain has, it was a driving, torrid rainstorm not long ago. It's still raining here, but not as heavily. But the thing that they're certainly looking out for, and you can see the dark skies, is the thunder and the lightning. We are in a weather delay. The game will not kick off at 7:40 p.m. as scheduled. In fact, the teams have not even started their warm-up, so I'm sure they'll be given a full warm-up, normal warm-up. And then after that, we'll kick off. But we're going to go on the air at 7:15 for our pregame show, per normal. And we're going to stay on the air through the entire thing. Now, Matty and I, a couple of years back,
we're very well versed.
CONCACAF Champions League against Pumas.
Pumas,
and
at Red Bulls, wasn't it? Yeah.
And I had to look it up because the Guinness Book of World Records was 8 hours on the air for a sporting event live. We were only on for 6.5 hours. So we approached the Guinness Book of World Records, and that was one of the more amazing performances in the broadcast booth that we've ever had, for sure. But if need be, we'll be on for another 6 hours tonight. Hopefully not. And the weather forecast actually is brighter than that in as much as it's expected to move out at some point in that 8 o'clock hour. All right, we're going to move on. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, we are in a weather delay. Tiago Martins, not available. Kevin O'Toole, not available. Monsef Bakrar, not available. So that's the story for New York City FC. And for Columbus, Cucho Hernandez will be up front. And so will Christian Ramirez. And so will Diego Rossi. So that's something for that back line for New York City. Kind of a revamped back line to have to deal with here tonight at Yankee Stadium. For Matty Lawrence, I'm Glenn Crooks, and we'll join you in a couple of minutes on the radio side. See ya.